Well, hi everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube art tutorial channel. Well, here I am back in the studio, and I've had a lovely cup of coffee, so I'm all ready just to finish this off while the scene is still in my memory. Well, the first thing I need to do, I'm going to use the slightly smaller mop that points well, because what I want to do is to put in some real strong shadows, and for that I'm going to use Windsor Blue with the alizarin crimson, and that together will make a lovely shadow colour. Right, first place I'm going to put that shadow is across the bridge to really darken that off, like that. Yeah, I'm going a little bit darker here, so it's just more paint really to be really dark, and I'm putting that in to the actual part of the supports that face us, so you can just see the left hand sides of those. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to run that dark colour in along the top and let that spread down. Let's get a nice straight edge along that top. There you go, if we can. There we are. Perfect. Now this has got to go in other places to get strength. First thing I'm going to do, remove some of the paint from the brush, light coming from the left, sorry, from the right, creating shadows on the left like that. This is how I saw it on this morning. There we go, and of course we've then got shadow underneath like that, and down into that bit. Go. Remove a little bit more off the brush because I want to pick up a little bit of slightly less intense shadow on the left hand sides of that tree. And of course we've got shadow then coming from the tree trunks down the bank, and of course along the bank then, of course underneath the trees too. There, trying to get a sense that there is a little bit of light, and then the left hand side of that tree coming round to the sunlight, and the left hand side of that tree, trying to get a sense of this light coming through. And then of course in the background we have little bits of trees that are shadowed, and pick up a little bit more paint as we come forward. You see, the good thing with watercolour is the transparency of the washes. That's the thing that gives us that real opportunity, if you like, to get some real sort of shadow work. Right, and the left hand side of that tree is also in shadow. Notice how I'm just rubbing across the paper with this shadow colour, because I felt today was more tonal than it was colourful. Now I put my colour on, but of course now I'm toning it all back so that it gives me that the opportunity to put under there we are, to create a sense of light, which is what really too much there, but just a little. It's what I did see this morning, standing there with the sunlight coming from the right hand side. See the way it's all of a sudden brought it all into light. And while we have this mix, I'm going to use the Windsor blue with the red alizarin, but this time I'm putting a bit of yellow, putting a bit of raw sienna with that, because this is my water shadow. Now I'm going to go, it's quite a sort of a muddy sort of colour, so I've got 3 colours there, got red, yellow and blue, so that does give me that sort of muddy tone, but I'm going to put a little bit more yellow, a little bit more red in there rather than too much blue, and let's just see what we get. Whether that's right or wrong, I'm not sure. I think I can live with that, at least to start with. Let's just see what we get, because you've got to remember that undercolour will come through. So, and of course we've then got the really dark shadow there, or reflection, sorry, not shadow, and then we've got this sort of rippling within that reflection of the bridge. So it all gives it that lovely feeling of a riverbank, which, to be fair, just be careful with the rippling. That's it. I like to see a bit of rippling, but not too much in the distance. There we go, for that. Now I'm adding more blue as I'm coming forward, and the thinking behind that is that got a bit of sky reflection in there too, and then we've got those trees like that. We'll be just a little bit more determined with our reflections now. Look at that, love it, the way we get that lovely sort of movement in the water when you overlay colours. A bit more blue in there, because this will need to hold up, and I'm just filling it in just a little bit more than required really in the foreground, just to bring that forward. There we go. And then we've got reflection and from that tree there. Notice I'm not putting a great deal of reflection from, in fact I've not put any from the buildings, but just watching. Just a bit more blue now, a bit more red, there we go. So it just darkens it off just a touch here and there. Not too dark down in this bottom left hand corner, but we do have a bit of strength. It's got to be a bit careful when you do this ripple work, that you don't completely overpaint the. Look at the way I'm just dashing the brush across the foreground. Try and give some rippling effect. Yeah, quite happy with that. Seems to be working. Doesn't seem to be a problem there at all. Just finishing off there. Right, all I've got to do now is to produce, let me just put a little bit of that there, just for that tree, 1 or 2 trees in the background. There, that's it. Right, next thing I'm doing is the background buildings. And that there again is just going to be this blue grey shadow, more or less the same as what I put in the water really. Just another little area there. not quite as dark as the water reflection. And there's the corner of the building there. Two little windows just showing up, bit of bank there that you can see, and that goes down. And then of course we have the couple of windows there, two little touches there. Tend to think about this just a touch, but oh yeah, then we come up to there with the other section. See where I'm really showing the sections off now, and try and give that a feeling of buildings in the background. Not really highlighting them to any great extent, but they are there, so they need to be put in really. Just trying to think. Oh, that actually came across to there. Right, so that's also dark. Okay. And that finishes up there like that. And then at the top we have another area of light before we have another area of dark. Just before we get to that light area again. And then we just put in some suggestion of windows and whatever's going on there. It's just a suggestion. It's it really can only be a suggestion, because once we start getting detailed, then obviously we ruin the complete effect. Corner there and a corner there. That's it. And then we have to allow that to completely dry. Now all we do is to put in the final little really dark edges right underneath the bridge. Not so certain whether we can see that, but there you go. I'm putting it in anyway, and just a shadow directly underneath there. So that's the really dark area, and we're going to put in some dark trunks here, because I think that fits the bill quite well. So those are particularly dark. There, like that. Oh, and of course that one as well, not quite as prominent. Then we have the smaller branches. That one's sitting back, but we'll bring him in dark as well and just soften that where he meets the grass. Pull that down and that down, so they blend in really. And then we have the odd, with the rigger, we can now touch in some of the smaller branches that perhaps we have overpainted perhaps, or nice area there with a branch coming away. We can have another branch there. There we are, just picking in the details. Let me pull that in a little closer so you can see exactly what I'm up to. There we go, that's better. What I'm doing, I'm just putting in one or two of these little smaller branches. It's a bit big, that one, that really need to be put in. See the way I've put in the darker trunk there. We can also darken off a little area here, I think, right at the base of that tree, like that. with some little touches, and of course along the water's edge here and there. Now you see, my general rule of thumb is, I think I said there's a bit of a fence there, wasn't there? General rule of thumb is that, there we go, just hint at a bit of a fence there. General rule of thumb is that the darker you go, the less detail you actually need. So the less area you cover. So 2 little touches along there. It gradually softens off quite nicely. Just go this side as well with just a minimal amount of edging, just to show there, a little bit under there. It'd be nice to have a little bit shown there. Just a nice little bit. That's nice. And I'm going to darken this. There we are. Darken that bit of, that's better. Great. Perfect. Now, because I've darkened that, you can see how it pulls the whole thing forward. It really is a fine line between how dark or how light you go with certain areas as to whether you're going to achieve the result you're looking for, really. Good. Well, I think we're pretty much there. I think I'm just putting in bits and pieces for the sake of it really now, which is not the ideal thing to do. Maybe just 1 or 2 little edges where we've got some rippling, not too dark for this rippling, particularly where the bridge is there. There we go. The way I'm just trying to give that impression of water movement and just spreading with the, that's it. Really is a lovely play of light on that water that that I'm trying to show, really. I think it seems to be working quite well. Watch we don't overdo this, but I'm sure I think it's looking quite reasonable actually. It's a little bit this side too. Plenty on the brush when you do this with a rigger. That's better. And just a little deeper places along the bank, like that there, under there, and of course where the bridge is as well, just where it ripples away. Oh, look at that lovely dark area there. That will give a lovely sense of light to that left hand bank when it dries. Good. Right, now just going to put in a couple of birds. There were some gulls flying around up there, so I'm going to put those in. Just a couple. Like that one there. And diving around. The other one was sort of taking a dive, wasn't it? Like like that. There we go. A couple of birds, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to have a couple that have just landed in the water there and there, and of course they need their reflection, which is just a little bit weaker where they sit on the water like that. Perfect. Make these just a little dark under there, because I just felt that under wings should be just a little darker. But other than that, I'm now going to take the surround away and sign up. Now, although I've signed the picture, there's just a couple of things that I want to show you what I do sometimes. For instance, that the water is nice, but I think it's a little busy for the foreground. So what I intend to do is to lay a wash of light colour just to amalgamate all of those marks together. And the mix I'm going to use for that is Windsor Blue and Raw Sienna. Those are my favourite. That's my favourite sort of what I'd call watercolour, if you can get what I mean by that. And I want to maintain the nice light that I've got around the bridge, but it's just these edges here, this sort of area here that I feel just needs a quick little wash across. And I'm even going to go across where my signature is. If you just stroke it once and then leave it, you'll find that it will not blend with the other painting underneath, because that's the key to it. I don't want to lose those lovely washes, but I want to amalgamate those colours, not too much there. And as I go up the paper, I'm adding a little bit more blue now, because I may just go on over onto that, and then a little bit there, a little bit there, and that is all I'm going to do. I'm now going to let that dry and sink back. Now while that is drying, I need to put a couple of figures in just to give it life, and the figures are going to go. I had a figure there, so I'll put this figure in red, because I just feel that we need a splash of sort of interest, and just mix a bit of brown, a bit of burnt sienna with that, just to give the darker head. Just got to watch the size of these figures, and of course just the legs there. Yep, that's one figure. And then I'm going to have another one in a blue, just cobalt blue, fairly deep blue. And this one could be a young child, so we put that, just a blob of colour really, more than anything. Hair, well, raw sienna, nice strong raw sienna. This one is going just under the railings there. So there's a couple of figures just looking down onto the river. And of course you can walk along the river there So I'm going to put in a couple of figures along there, but these are just going to be sort of bit of red, bit of the Windsor blue, just really to give it a silhouette effect for a couple of figures. These will be just a touch larger. There, there, a little figure there. There you go. Good. I think that really does complete the picture. Well, there you have it. That's my take on the river in the centre of Chelmsford City this morning. Got the feeling of light coming from the right with shadow work, more or less in semi-silhouette really, not too much colour going on there, and started plein air actually on site and finished here in the studio. If you have enjoyed watching, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and in the meantime, happy painting, and we'll see you all again very, very soon. Thank you very much. So it's just working out the tone values really. That's the key to the scene like this.